it's time to step into the inner sanctum of the Geelong cricket scene with The Inside Edge.
Hello and welcome to the Geelong Cricket Show, The Inside Edge, for another week. I'm Wes Cusworth, joined by my co-host in Mark Brunga.
G'day Wes, great to be with you and also great to be back with our viewers on Channel 31. Thanks for joining us, great to have you along.
Of course, Mark and I will endeavour right throughout the course of summer to keep you informed of all things happening in Geelong cricket, including what's happening in Premier Cricket with the Geelong Cats. Of course, they came up against Essendon. They did cop a bit of a belting when they spent their time in the field. Essendon lost just one wicket, made 325, set the Cats a massive task, but Geelong, Eamon Vines got runs, it was good to see, also Hayden Butterworth, but it was a mountain too high to climb.
Absolutely, and look, you know, I think the signs are good for Geelong this year in Premier Cricket. Of course, the later start due to COVID, but we all know that the Geelong Cricket Ground is an absolute run machine. It's like the highway, and big scores are always the order of the day there, so no surprise there was big scores, but I think the Geelong Cricket Club are definitely heading in the right direction.
I can tell you that the boundary had been brought in quite a way, Mark, so you and I would have been able to generate some runs there, I dare say, because the wicket, as you mentioned, is an absolute belter. Well, there was also plenty of action in GCA 1, and as we head towards a big round of double headers for GCA 1 and also GCA 3, I take a look, team by team, at GCA 1. Ladder leader North Geelong faces Newtown and Chewell in a game that may well determine top spot, followed by a Sunday contest against Merger Bullock. Tom Matheson has been in superb form with the ball and shapes as the Magpies' major protagonist, although the North attack will have to counter the influence of Deniliquin Ray's two blue Isaac Hogan. There's no question the Magpies will test the Frogs' batting on Sunday. Not surprisingly, they're expected to win both games. Apart from North Geelong, Newtown and Chewell comes up against St Joseph's in its second game of the weekend. The Saints will be no easy task for Dylan Hodges' men, and despite losing to North last week, still cracked the second biggest score of the day. East Belmont faces Leopold away and then Lara at Winter Reserve. Last Saturday, the Lions claimed the points over Mergy, but I know they won't be satisfied with another batting collapse. I spoke with Chris Williams after the defeat of Merger Bullock. Well, well done, Chris. The win against Merger Bullock, obviously, having made only 155, you'd be pretty pleased to get away with that.
Yeah, happy with that after where we were at half-time. It's a really good wicket here, so both teams would be probably a little bit disappointed with their batting effort. Obviously did a little bit through the air in both innings, but to get 6 points in a low-scoring one's always good.
Now, 1 for 110. And then you've lost 9 for 45, and it's become a little bit too much of a habit for East Belmont this year.
Yeah, I tend to look at them as three isolated events rather than a habit. I think we're just making some errors, and that's what happens. Probably in a little bit of the way we like to play, but we'd also like to not go out. So it's something we'll improve hopefully as the year goes on. We've had quite a few errors, both bat and ball, across the first 5 rounds. So where we sit at 3 and 2. Probably a fair reflection of where we are. We could have easily dropped the games that we've won, and equally we could have easily won the games we've dropped. So to be 3 and 2 is really a fair reflection of what we've done so far.
In reality, it's like that you lost 8 for 24 because that last wicket put on 21. So that was a handy one, yourself and Jack Jenkins.
It was. I mean, it is something that obviously you're in the side to bowl and do what you can, but you got 10 wickets for a reason. So little 10, 15, 20 run partnerships can hopefully eke a score out and move that from 130 to 150. It changes the complexion slightly with the ball. So that's something that as a lower order we're conscious that we need to be better at. So good to get some of it today, but yeah, something we'll continue to work on.
Andrew Bars really wound back the clock. That was a really impressive innings from him.
Yeah.
It was the Andrew Bars that we know of from the past decade.
Well, all year, I don't have all the scores on hand, but him and Sean, I think 3 out of 4 games, 50-run partnerships, and at good clip, 4.5, 5 and over in those first 10. So we're getting the platform we want. So we know the components are there. We just need to continue on from there. So Barzy was excellent against the new ball, of course. Yeah, obviously was there as wickets were falling around him. till it might have been the third last wicket to fall. So he's made a really good start to the year at the top, but he's a pretty good player, so that's what happens.
And Dylan Moroney, 4 wickets. It's what you've come, or what I suppose you're anticipating and hoping for from him.
Yeah, it's funny. You can say, you can take this how you will. We don't really look at the wicket column at ours. He probably bowled as well or better against South Barwon in a win 2 weeks ago. It is fair to say that there's probably different lengths that you need to bowl from Premier level to back into GCA, and today he really did that on a wicket that after the little bit of rain there was just enough grab there, and he was hitting stumps a lot of the time. I think 3 LBWs maybe, and yeah, it was excellent. And it's nice, obviously, for him to get the reward. We like to share that round, but it's always good personally for someone to have success. So yeah, it augurs well for him for the rest of the year as well.
And Merger Bullock, obviously, they're striving to really ensure a level of competitiveness at GCA 1 level, as they did last year. So is that what you saw again today?
Oh, competitiveness. I mean, for big chunks of today, if you're a betting man, the live odds are probably in their favour for large parts of today. And I think their bowling attack's really strong. I love the work their spinners do. They set really good fields through the middle, and Mick Groz out from behind the gloves where he has been for a couple of years, but back with the ball, he bowled a really critical spell today. Just like that heavy ball through the middle. I thought it was excellent.
The ball, by all accounts, is moving right throughout the course of a 50 over innings. A red ball in a one-day game is something of the past, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, I think we've spoken about this a lot. If we ever make the transition to one-day cricket completely as a competition, the red ball does keep the bowlers in it. So you can probably see that reflected in the scores. If you look at some of the one-day scores in the past 3, 4, 5 years, there may be more over 200, 240, 250, particularly out here on a great surface. It's all down 10, 15, 20% because your medium paces through the middle can still swing it rather than the white ball jump on the front foot, hit it where you want. So I think that's something obviously the GCA will consider, that if you do want to shift to white cricket, which is no secret, one-day cricket, which is my preference, if you're conscious about keeping the bowlers in, the red ball is definitely an option. And
as you've just indicated, you've for a long time been an advocate of one-day cricket. Do you think that there's growing evidence for other people to observe that this is actually a really positive thing?
Well, just look at what we've seen so far this year. Whereas we had a tie the other week. I know we've had 2 results, like either 9 wickets down or within 10 runs. Around the competition, it's happening all the time. Even today, this game's ebbed and flowed. It's a lot more exciting, and it's great that the weather isn't going to impact it as much. With like last year was farcical. I played in 6 results for the year because we bat 1 week, wash out second, bowl 1 week, wash out second. It just doesn't happen. It's so good coming off the ground, knowing that next weekend there's going to be another result, and next weekend there's going to be 2 results. Like I think it's a no-brainer personally. There's no one that's more passionate about seeing young cricketers progress. So I think the argument that we need to produce test cricketers at this level is folly. Like if we're going to have good cricketers in this region that are good enough, that need to play long form cricket, there's 4 grades at Geelong that are ready to do, that are there playing long form cricket. So get them down there as soon as they can.
Let's look to Lara, where Daniel Weagle's men play host to Grovedale, followed by that game against East Belmont. The Cats are another combination whose batting has failed to fire, although 3 wins in a row after dropping the first 2 matches is still a very pleasing return. That thrilling 2-run defeat of Highton is the reason the Cats sit 4th. Highton, the new kids on the block, have hardly put a foot wrong this summer. James Gillard said competitiveness is key, and there's no doubt the Heat is matching it with their GCA 1 rivals. This week will be a challenge with back-to-back away games, firstly against St Joseph's at the College and then Grovedale at Burda Reserve. St Joseph's sits 6th and must take at least 1 scalp this weekend against Highton or Newtown and Chilwell. Andrew Hodson missed out against North Geelong, but he's been in super touch, and if the likes of Luke Gibbs and Troy Nolan hit their straps, the Joeys could be in the 4 by Sunday night. South Barwon has a lot to be proud of with the emergence of teen trio Harry Hornstein, Oliver Peake and Henry Melville. Those boys led the way against the 2 Blues at KFC Oval. The Swans have 2 winnable matches against Merger Bullock and Leopold, but need to be dipping their oars in the water at the same time to ensure they don't lose contact with the lead pack. Grovedale's enigmatic inconsistency needs to be rectified sooner rather than later. The Tigers travel to Lara tomorrow and host Highton on Sunday, and this just may be the weekend to spark their season. Jackson medalist Jordan Moran is the key with the bat, and if Barry Cheetis is able to overcome a niggling elbow concern, they may be the quality of players to really launch the Tigers up the table. Merger Bullock is another side with a sizable gap between its best and worst performances. The Frogs were outstanding with the ball against East Belmont, but left their supporters disappointed with a subpar batting effort. Games against South Barwood and North Geelong await. And finally, Leopold broke through for its maiden win of the season against Grovedale on the back of an outstanding performance, an unbeaten 44, by popular clubman David Ford. Now, Lions, you need to keep up the momentum and back that performance up. Joey Vallelonga has been in great touch, as has new ball bowler Ben Horn. But Leopold will be left languishing at the end of this weekend if it can't overcome either East Belmont or South Barwon, or both. Well, I hope you're enjoying the Geelong Cricket Show for this week. There'll be more to come on the other side of these sponsor announcements. Welcome back to the Inside Edge. A look at Geelong Cricket with Wes Cusworth and my colleague in Mark Brunga, who is taking great delight in spotting up some of the action in GCA 2 action this year.
Absolutely, Wes. GCA Division 2's got that look about it again this year. It's looking very even, and I stepped out to Hamlin Reserve to have a look at Bell Park taking on Bellpost Hill, and got to see the Prince of Packington Street, Glenn Tallarico, strut his stuff there. He was batting in the last 10 overs and compiled a beautiful half-century to lead Bellpost Hill to a very competitive score, which Bell Park eventually struggled to reach, and unfortunately they didn't reach that score, and that sees Bellpost Hill now go to equal top on the Division 2 ladder. But it's not just batting that's doing it for Bellpost Hill at the moment, Wes.
No, that's right. We often talk about Lockie Horan as being a superstar of the competition, the young firebrand from the Panthers, but also his brother's doing quite nicely too, which was really pleasing to see. And I think any time that you see Bell Park struggle with the bat, you know that you've come up against a really, really good side, because Bell Park has been a real pace setter in the competition, and obviously they have some really good quality players. So a really good performance by Bellpost Hill in an all-round term.
Oh, look, I think they're really starting to flex their muscle now, Wes. I think we can see that they're going to be one of the teams to beat at the end of the season, I think. And the other game I went to have a look at was the one at Marshall, where the Bears took on the Saints. And I think it's fair to say the Bears gave them a big bear hug and squeezed the living breath out of St Peters, just strangled them, and they weren't able to get anywhere near the score that Marshall had posted. And once Drew Bowman was out early for St Peters, they really looked to struggle. So Marshall thereabouts as well at the moment too.
One of the things I like to see with GCA 2 and GCA 3 is good quality players coming back in coaching roles, sometimes captaining roles, taking up leadership opportunities in GCA 2 and GCA 3 clubs. And we've seen that happen at Torquay. Absolutely,
yeah. James Fisher's moved across from Grovedale to take up the coaching role down at Torquay, down at Spring Creek, and he's doing an amazing job at the moment, because they are setting all guns blazing at the moment in GCA 2, and it was great to catch up with James and have a little bit of a chat about how things are going early doors out at Spring Creek. Well, Jim, welcome to the show, and first season in charge of things out at Torquay after a few years at Grovedale. How are you settling into the head role there?
Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah, I'm settling in really nice. I'm really enjoying it down there. I've got a lot of good people and experienced heads down there that have helped me sort of move into the position nicely. And a great start to the season from us as well with 4 wins. So that winning culture makes a big difference. So no, it's been really good.
Was it something that was always on the horizon for you to take up coaching at some stage?
Yeah, I've always wanted to from a pretty young age. I had a little bit of a assistant coaching role at Grovedale, and then I'd always kept my eye on Torquay, and I knew a few people down there already. So when the opportunity came about, I was really keen to get into it down there.
And you've recruited very well in the off-season. Another Fisher down there as well, and also Terry Hill as well. So you've done well.
Yes, no, we've got those guys. Obviously, Terry's been huge from us. As I was saying before, he's he's been Division 1 for a long time and had big roles out there, so he's helped me so much. And with the other guys as well, huge. Everyone's really stepped up, and the existing guys down there in the likes of Tommy Henderson, Tommy Dunn, and Damien O'Brien, they've really stepped up as well, so it's been good.
Well, I suppose one loss in a lot of respects is Ash Russell, who's decided to hang the boots up, and he's obviously going to be missed around the team, but I'm sure he'll be still involved around the club in some capacity.
Yeah, he's already been down there. He's there on most Thursday nights, and he still comes to watch us when he can. Obviously, he had work and family commitments, which we could understand. As he was a big loss, that gives an opportunity for some of our other younger kids to come through and really develop earlier than they might have. So,
now on the weekend, of course, you played Mottawarri. It was an interesting game score-wise, fairly low scoring. Was that Mother Nature helping there, or was it just one of those days at the office?
Yeah, it had a bit to do with it. The pitch was a bit sticky, and there was a bit of cloud around. It was actually quite dark down there, but we just. Tommy Dunn batted really well for his 50, and then apart from that, we all sort of probably didn't dig in hard enough, and we only managed to get 119 on the board, which was in the end it turned out to be enough, but it was always going to be a big fight from there, and they got off to a reasonable start, and through the middle overs, Brendan Weemus was playing really well, and when we eventually managed to get him out, we lifted from there, and it was a good win in the end. So.
And we were talking to you before off air, and we mentioned that Belpost Hill are really starting to flex their muscle now in Division 2 after dropping down from Div 1 last year. Do they look like the team to beat at this stage, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I've said that from probably round 2 or 3. I think they're going to be the team, they're going to be right up there this year as the team to beat. Any team that's got Glen Tallarico coming at number 6 is pretty handy. So, I think they're going to be right up there. So it's just a matter of making finals and see what happens from there, I suppose.
Well, on top, equal top at least with Belpost Hill. So a great start to the season, Jim. Best of luck for the rest of the season for the Tigers, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you before the end of the season.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Mark. Cheers.
Great to catch up with James Fisher there. He's doing a great job, Wes, there, and really got the troops marshalled very, very well there at Torquay, and great to see. And he was very open with the way he talked to us there, so we appreciate his time.
Good job, Mark. On the other side of this break, we're going to have a focus on GCA 3. We've got a couple of Newcombe District Dinos joining the show. That's on the other side of these sponsor announcements. Welcome back to the Inside Edge with Wes Cusworth and Mark Brunga. And the Newcombe District Dinos have certainly been benefiting handsomely from the return of Anthony Quarrell. I had the opportunity of catching up with Jason Robertson and also Andrew Webb to discuss the way forward for the Dinos. Welcome to you both. Firstly to you, Andrew. Things haven't been easy for the Dinos, with a number of players unfortunately not able to turn out. You've had a big turnover from your first 11 this year.
Yeah, Wes lost, I think, 4 or 5 from our first 11 last year, which pushed pretty close to winning the flag. Lost a guy to the Army, obviously lost an overseas player who's now in England. Lost Matty Harrison due to the COVID-19, so he's up in Melbourne playing this year for Greenvale, and lost a few fellas to some other clubs around Geelong. So, yeah, a few different faces, but it's good to see the depth, come through. We're still fine, all right. So, I think they're thereabouts at the end of the season.
Now, I know you're not one to pump yourself up too much, Webby, so I'm going to get Jason to do that. He is the consummate all-rounder, Jason, when you consider the man not only bats and bowls, but also wicket keeps, and by all accounts, wicket keeps quite well.
Yeah, he's just doing a bit of keeping at the moment, which I'd hope he'd do a little bit more of so I can take some more wickets. He loves to come on when the tail's about. So, he's doing well. He's bowling, he's batting. On the weekend, he didn't have to do much, which was good. So, he's going all right. Hopefully, he keeps going on and just making a few more runs, hopefully,
And Andrew, of course, Anthony Quarrell has made his return to the Dinos and has been in pretty good form. We can talk a little bit about his rather unusual circumstances from last weekend in terms of an injury, but tell us about what sort of impact his return has had.
It's had a massive impact. At the start of the season, for those who don't know, I named Jason Quaz my assistants, and just having an extra set of eyes around, or actually two sets of eyes around, has made a huge difference. You know, Jace obviously controlling the bowling, but Quaz with the batting's just helped. Just working on little things like working with the younger guys on turning the strike over, and it's taken a few other guys' games to another level. Like one is young Caden Henry. You know, he's been really, really good for the start of the year, and I'll probably put that to Quaz, who's really worked hard with him. And just having a guy with his energy around and in the field it's great to have. So he's made a massive impact, not just off the field, on the field with his runs, but off the field as well with his energy and his coaching. So he's done really well, and it's a good pickup for the club.
And Jason, when you recognise that a player like Quaz has obviously spent a few years away at both South Barwon and also Grovedale, brings a fair bit back to your club, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, especially the type of drills and the intensity that he sets on game day, with warm-ups and just the professionalism playing at a high level of cricket. Especially, I think if you take out Evergreen, John Elliott, I think Webby might be the oldest player in our team. So it's quite a young group, and to have that experience around from high levels of cricket and being around the cricket brains that he has, it speaks high volumes about him. So.
And Webby, what happened with Quaz on the weekend? I believe he finished his innings batting without a glove.
Yeah.
That was rather strange circumstances.
Yeah, he did. He was diving, running between the wickets, and from all reports, he's landed on his thumb. And I think he said he had an issue called a gamekeeper's thumb, I believe they called it, which is like a ligament damage. And he ended up batting with one glove on for the second half of his innings for his 67 on the weekend, which was pretty courageous by him to keep going. So, yeah, he batted well, considering he only had one hand. So, yeah.
And Jason, you make mention of the evergreen John Elliott, and that's a really great way to describe him because he's been a really fantastic servant to the club. Tell us about what sort of impact he has, particularly with the young guys coming through and seeing role models like him.
Yeah, like if you ask John to bat 11 and not bowl, he's going to put his hand up and say, no worries, I'll bat 11 and do whatever I need to do for the club. Especially in the second 11 as well. There's a lot of turnover, unfortunately, with unavailabilities, with what's going on at the moment. And he always steps up, making sure that everyone's got a good leader in John. And on the weekend, we needed him to step up and play first 11 cricket. We had a bowler out, we needed a bowler in, and he pretty much said, no worries, whatever the club needs, I'll be ready to go. So John's really good for the club, and obviously well respected around the club as well.
And can turn it on when he's required to, can't he?
Yes, he can turn it on. Even on the dance floor on Saturday night, he can turn it on a bit as well. So, he's good.
And Webby, tell us about GCA 3 this year and how it's all unfolding and who are the sides to beat.
There's a few good sides in there. I think it's going to be very even. I think with the one-day format, it probably suits teams like Corio. They're a very attacking, aggressive side, and, if they get hold of you, they're every chance of making 250 to 300, and it's hard to chase that down. But in the same token, as they did on the weekend, they fell for about 100. So, I think with the one-day format, it's very unpredictable, really. I think just whoever's better on the day, whoever does the 1%ers the best will win, which I think has been proven most times. You hold your catches, you bowl your fields, and limit the extras, you'll usually go pretty close to winning it. Bat your 50 overs and you'll usually win as well. So, yeah, it's a pretty even comp this year, to be fair. I don't think I can really pick a real standout other than Corio's start of the year was pretty good. So, yeah, that's about it, really. And
does the one-day format, Jason, suit Newcomen District, do you think?
I think we're adapting. We have a lot of batsmen that love to take a bit of time to get in and work it around and stuff like that. So having Quaz at the top of the order, just a natural stroke maker, work with someone like Cato, that's sort of a bit of a reserved cricketer. We're sort of adapting, sort of learning the ways to go about it and things that work for us. So we started the year well. We had a bit of a lull, and last weekend was a good way to bounce back. Really a good team performance, I thought, and probably our most complete game for the year. But yeah, I think we'll do well.
And Webby, what's in store for this weekend?
We've got the double header against St Albans first, I think we got.
Yeah, then Warm Ponds.
At St Albans, then Warm Ponds at home. So, yeah, I've got a few little things in order for the boys. A bit of a recovery session Saturday night. It's going to be a bowling machine session on Thursday, so I don't wear the bowlers out. And, yeah, going to have to just adapt a little bit to try and keep people fresh, I suppose.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Geelong Cricket Show, The Inside Edge. All the very best to Newcomen District Dinos.
Cheers, Wes.
Well, as we near the end of our show this week, Mark, let's take a look at your feature matches of the round, beginning with GCO 3.
Yeah, why not, Wes? And of course, as you mentioned earlier in the show, it's a double-header weekend of one-day games for Division 3. So on Saturday, Guild Saints are taking on Corio, and I reckon this will be an absolute cracker because both teams have been in really nice touch this season, so that should be one to look out for. And then on Sunday, Newcombe and District, as we just heard from the boys earlier, and they're taking on Warm Ponds Deakin, who have been going pretty well too this year, I think. So that'll be the match of the day on the Sunday. Moving through to Division 2, and there's a very, very interesting battle hotting up at Hamlin Park yet again, and Bell Park will be taking on Torquay, and I reckon this is going to be a cracker, Wes. There's really great action when these two teams meet on the cricket field, and I'm expecting a pretty hard-fought contest on Saturday.
Well, I think the GCA 1 match of the weekend, obviously a double-header weekend as we've made reference to, is going to be the game between North Geelong and Newtown and Chewell, where the in-form Isaac Hogan, coming off an unbeaten century last week against South Barwon, goes up against the leading bowler in the competition, Tom Matheson from the Magpies.
He can bowl a bit.
He goes all right, doesn't he?
He goes all right, yes.
Good genes, I suspect, for Tom Matheson. Of course, he is Daniel Weagle's cousin. They are both very fine players in their own right. Well, that wraps up our show this week. We're going to leave you with some highlights from cricket over the opening 5 weeks of GCA 1 action.